and welcome to Crime Time! I am your host, Olivia Cook, and today we will be talking about one of the world's most famous serial killers, Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. So, for those of you that are like, serial killers? Huh? Let me explain. Serial killers are typically a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive, and typically follow a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern. Now, characteristics. What would those be? Most serial killers share certain personality traits, like sensation-seeking, a lack of remorse or guilt, impulsivity, the need for control, and predatory behavior. But that's not all! There are different flavors of serial killers, like the power and control killers, visionary killers, mission-oriented killers, and thrill-seeking killers. Now, this seems like a lot of information not about Richard Ramirez, but we'll get to him later. So you want to know something interesting? Serial murders are rare, compromising less than 1% of all homicides, according to the FBI. There's an annual homicide rate hovering around 15,000 in the US, which equals fewer than 150 serial murders a year. Now, you might be thinking, why do people do this? Well, here are some examples. Some are sexual violation, sexual gratification, emotional memory, and being a violent offender. Wasn't that fun? So now it's time to learn about Richard Ramirez. So, let's dive into some childhood! Ramirez's childhood was not peachy. His mother worked around dangerous chemicals while she was pregnant with all of her children, so they have birth defects. When Ramirez was 2, a dresser fell on his head, causing him to have a large forehead laceration. At 5, a swing knocked him unconscious, causing him to start having epileptic seizures. Ramirez also claims his father was physically abusive to his entire family. Then, at 12, Ramirez was shown photos of raped and dismembered Vietnamese women by his older cousin, veteran Miguel Ramirez, who later shot his wife in front of Ramirez. He eventually became addicted to drugs and dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. His childhood behavior did reflect some problems. He was influenced by his older cousin. You know, the one that showed him pictures of dismembered and raped women? And that same cousin believed in satanic worship. What? Alright, now that we covered childhood, let's talk about early adulthood! Ramirez was arrested in 1977 for marijuana possession. He then moved out to California, where he got addicted to cocaine, burglary, and cultivating an interest in, you guessed it, Satanism! He was arrested twice in Los Angeles for auto theft in 1981 and 1984. He didn't finish high school or go to college. Ramirez was married to Doreen Leoy. This is her name. I can't pronounce it properly. While he was in prison. was on trial, Doreen said, and I quote, "He's kind, he's funny, he's charming. I think he's a really great person. He's my best friend. He's my buddy," end quote. What? Okay, so they didn't have any children, and Ramirez didn't have any previous children or present children. He didn't have kids. When he was around 9 or 10, he withdrew himself from his surroundings, so this made him kind of a loner. And Ramirez was never diagnosed with mental illness, but he was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. Whoa. It's time for the crime! The nature of his crimes was that he killed these people due to having emotional trauma due to his father beating him, being sexually assaulted as a child, and witnessing a murder, and social circumstances that he wasn't equipped to deal with. The time span of his crimes was April 10th, 1984 to August 24th, 1985. He has a total of 15 victims. You want to know his signature? No? Well, I'm gonna tell you anyway. Ramirez would draw pentagrams all over the victim's house and on the victims themselves in their own lipstick. When he was caught, his behavior was frantic because after he picked up a newspaper, saw his photo on the cover, he ran away. The police chased him for a while, where he ran into a neighborhood attempting to steal a car. He failed to steal 3 cars. Residents from that neighborhood chased, restrained, and beat him. One of the neighbors apparently beat him with barbecue utensils until he escaped. Thus, with him getting hit by a metal bar, was he then in police custody. That must have been insane. Like, one of the guys that beat him must have returned home and went to his wife like, "Hey honey, guess what me and the boys did today? We captured and beat the Night Stalker murderer. Yeah, and Jerry was whacking him with barbecue tools." Like, huh? Oh man, I bet that whole sequence was edited really cool in post. Oh man, editor Olivia, you're gonna do so great.
It wasn't great. No.
Ramirez was found capable to withstand trial. Want to know something crazy? Besides everything else that's happened so far, the police had barely any physical evidence during the trial. All they had was a footprint Ramirez left behind in a couple flower beds and some bullets that matched some previous crime scenes. So after the trial and the whole "Hail Satan" thing, Ramirez was convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 counts attempted murder, 11 counts of sexual assault, and 14 counts burglary. His penalty was 19 death sentences. Ramirez died in prison on June 7th, 2013 due to B-cell lymphoma.
This here's a jam for all the fellas. Try to do what those ladies tell us. Get shot down cause you're overzealous. Play hard to get females get jealous. Okay.
So, that's the end of the Night Stalker story. Now, what have we learned from this? Don't do drugs, don't kill people, and ask before your cousin wants to show you a picture. Thanks for watching. That's it. I'm gonna need therapy.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't really understand, but I fell down this hill. Now I got glue on my hands, and I got records on my fingers. Records on my fingers, I got records on my fingers, and I just can't stop. I can't stop, I got a platypus controlling me. I got a platypus controlling me. Now let me sum it up, it was a strange